There was a time when games didn't have seasons, no countdowns, no resets, no content disappearing in a few weeks. You just played, and when you were done, the game stayed exactly where you left it. There was no sense of missing something, no urgency built into the system itself. But today, almost everything is seasonal. New content, new rewards, new deadlines, battle passes that expire, events that don't return, progress that only exists for a moment in time. Games don't just exist anymore, they evolve on a schedule. So, what changed? And why did the system take over almost everything? Before seasons, games were stable systems. Progression existed. You unlocked weapons, ranks, cosmetics. You worked towards something. But that progress wasn't tied to time. Nothing expired. Nothing rotated out. Nothing asked you to return at a specific moment. You could step away for days, weeks, even months, and return exactly where you left off. The experience waited for you, unchanged, consistent. There was a kind of quiet permanence to it. But that consistency came with a trade-off, because once players reached the end, the system stopped pushing back, and without new goals, engagement naturally faded. The first major shift wasn't seasons, it was movement. Games like World of Warcraft introduced something new. A game could change after release, not just through sequels, but from within. New zones, new systems, new challenges. The world didn't stay static anymore, it expanded, it evolved. For players, this created something powerful, a reason to come back, not to replay the same experience, but to discover what had changed. It introduced anticipation, a sense that something new could always arrive. But updates were inconsistent, unpredictable, and unpredictability doesn't create habits, it creates moments, but not systems. Seasons gave that movement structure. Instead of irregular updates, games introduced cycles. A clear beginning, a progression path, a defined end, and with it something new, time-limited value. Rewards tied to a specific window, content that wouldn't always be there. Now, playing wasn't just about progress, it was about timing. When you played became as important as how much you played. Miss a season and part of the experience disappears with it. And that changes behavior in a very specific way, because time itself became part of progression. But seasons didn't just create pressure, they created scale. More updates, more content, more frequent change. Games started evolving faster than ever before. Entire maps would shift between seasons. New mechanics would appear, then disappear. Modes rotated in and out. Experiences refreshed continuously. For players, this meant something important. There was always something new. Even familiar games didn't feel static anymore. They felt active, responsive, alive in a way that older systems weren't. And that changed expectations across the industry. Players didn't just want games anymore. They expected them to keep evolving. Once the model worked, it spread almost everywhere. Across genres, across platform. The structure repeated. Season start, progression track, unlocks, reset. Battle passes became standard. Limited time events became expected. For players, this created familiarity. You always knew the rhythm, what to expect, when to return, how long you had. But it also created overlap. Multiple games running on the same clock, competing for the same time. And that introduces a new kind of decision. Not just what to play, but what not to miss. Seasons didn't just change games, they changed how we play them. Play became structured around time, logging in during a season, progressing within a window, returning before it resets. Sessions became more intentional, more targeted, less about wandering, more about completing. For some players, this adds clarity, clear goals, clear progression, a consistent sense of direction. For others, it changes the feeling, from something open to something scheduled, from exploration to optimization. But this isn't purely loss, it's a shift in how games create engagement. Because seasons also created something new. Shared moments, events that happen once, experiences tied to a specific point in time, moments you had to be there for, a concert, a map change, a live event unfolding in real time. Games became less like static products and more like evolving spaces, places where players move through time together, not just individually, but collectively, experiencing the same changes at the same moment. And that changes what the game represents, not just something you complete, but something you take part in. There was a time when games waited for you. Now they move with or without you. Seasons didn't just add content, they changed the structure of play itself. They introduced urgency, but also continuity, pressure, but also presence. And in doing so, they turned games into something different. Not just worlds you visit, but timelines you move through. And whether that feels better or just different depends on how you choose to play. New case files release every Monday, Wednesday and Friday.